everybody. Tonight, we're honored to have Eric Welch hosting the webinar. Eric is one of the most enlightening and energetic leaders within all of Zango. He's presently a 200K select and well on his way to 500K and beyond. Eric's from Wisconsin, where it might be cold outside, but I know Zango is red hot. Eric, take it away.
Hey, thanks, Steve.
You bet.
We're having some fun. Hold on a second. I mute the lines here.
All righty.
All right. Chad, do I still have you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, great. That's our guest coming up. Mary, thanks for saying hello from Maui. I was thinking about you today as I was shoveling snow. I'm sure you're suffering terribly in the Isle of Beauty there. So welcome to the call, everyone. We're going to have some fun tonight, and we're going to kind of give you a good snapshot of Zango, what's going on currently and what's already happened, and what maybe the reason is why someone's so excited about it and invited you to listen. The part of the issue with a call like this is you can't get through everything you want to get through. So what we're going to do is just try to give you a snapshot and give you a little bit of an overview of the big picture and maybe stimulate your thinking enough so you can ask the tough questions on your own at a later date. I'll introduce you so you know who's talking. My name is Eric Welch. This is my wife, Heidi, and I. She's on the right. She's the better-looking one, if you didn't already figure that out. And we're from a little town in Wisconsin here right along Lake Michigan called Manitowoc. And we've been involved in Zango now. It'll be 3 years in April since we started to work this as a business. We drank the juice for about a year prior to that. Had no idea what we had our hands on. The only reason we were interested in it at that time was we had several small children, and we thought, well, hey, if it's a juice and it tastes good, which Zango does, I thought, well, hey, maybe they'll take it and we can do some prevention. And because I'm having 5 children now, I realize that there's only so much broccoli that a 2- and a 3-year-old is going to eat. So I thought, well, if this is a juice, that's fine. And an eye doctor friend introduced us to it, and we drank the juice. I didn't drink it. I didn't think I needed it. And I made all my decisions on the Zango business and the Zango juice completely in ignorance, basically just on faith, the fact that it was a doctor friend who referred us to it, and he said, can't hurt the kids, might help them a little bit, and, might as well give it a shot and see if they like it. And they did. So we ordered it. We had no idea what it could do. What you're going to hear about tonight is some of the awesome power of what this product can do and some evidence. There's no proof. There's probably not a lot of proof of a lot of things in life that we take for granted, but there's a lot of evidence. And I guess what I ask people to do when they look at the information we're about to go through, and if you think I'm talking fast, I'm just going to speed it up here as we go because I have 45 slides to go through in the next about 44 minutes. So I'm going to get through a lot of information. You might want to take some notes if this is real new to you on areas that you want to refer back to later. But I guess I ask people to lower their BS filter because this is these are just third-party information. These are facts you could get somewhere else if you knew and took the time to go find them. Very little what we're going to share is my opinion or anyone's opinion. It's just the facts as they are. And if you're kind of new to this, I'll tell you up front that without question, the Zango story is absolutely too good to be true. No doubt about it. But you have to temper that with it can't just purely be too good to be true because what's happening couldn't be happening if it was just pure based on excitement and that kind of thing. So look at the evidence for what it is. Take a look at it. See what it might mean to you from a product standpoint and a business standpoint. I know there's a lot of things. People have seen a lot of things, maybe tried some things along the way. Zango found us at a point in life where we definitely needed an opportunity. We needed a chance to change our direction financially, but I wasn't really open to it, and I wasn't looking, and I almost missed it, and thank God I didn't. When this came along, we were basically at the point where 3 years ago this time, we were wondering how we were going to stay in our house. I was unemployed in between jobs, hadn't really figured out what was coming next. The clock was ticking, and Zango came along. Wasn't really my favorite idea in the world at the time. I was just kind of in a funk. But I thought, if this is half as good as it looks, I'd be an idiot to watch this one blow by me. And so I went to work. And last Christmas, actually 2006 Christmas, I was able to surprise my wife with this Suburban. So that's how quickly things can turn around. Prior to that Suburban, we had a family minivan that was dangerous and didn't belong hauling children around. And so we loaded up that van, or that truck, and we put 3,800 miles on it a few months later when we took this whole crew. This is my family, 4 boys and a little girl, and number 6 is on the way. And by the way, some of you, it might be news to you that know me, but we loaded them up, drove 3,800 miles in that Suburban down to Florida, took them to Disney World. And like I said, you have to keep in mind 24 months prior to that, we were having discussions of whether we were going to be able to stay in our house or not. So that's the kind of opportunity, and that's the kind of, on a product standpoint, this is explosive and amazing, but on a business standpoint, it's equally amazing. And I don't presume to know where this finds you or where you're at in your interest in a business like that, but just know that this is as real as it gets from a business standpoint, and the product will be self-evident by the time we're done here. So you may have already seen this beautiful bottle, and what that represents is really the secret. It not only does it look good, but it does a whole lot of something, and what's in there is mangosteen fruit, not related to the mango. The mangosteen is a prized fruit from around the world, and this happens to be the first supplement in the world ever created with the mangosteen. And in turn, over time, it's become, the last 5 years now, it's the fastest growing health supplement in the world. Okay, so it's got to tell you there must be something to it. This is also sold through network marketing, relationship marketing, word-of-mouth marketing, whatever you want to term it as. It's sold direct to consumer, and it happens to be the fastest company ever in the history of the industry, which is approximately 60 years old, to ever do that at the pace they're doing it. And we're looking at over $1 billion of this fruit juice has been sold in the first 5 years alone. To give you a perspective of that, 40 million bottles of that bottle consumed. So what's in it, right? What's all the excitement about? Well, just to give you an idea of what those types of sales, these are some brands that we all know and love and probably have several of them in our home. These are brands that on a sales basis, Zango tops them all already. And some of these brands are 30, 40 years old. Okay, so there's something really going on here that is tough to dismiss based on lack of information or just pure skepticism. The story's a little too thick and a little too good to really just dismiss it. So, and Oprah's not dismissing it. We've been joking around for years. He says someday Oprah's going to say it's good, and then it's good in America apparently. That with her 22 million viewers every day. And Dr. Oz was on there in November a few months back and talking about this mangosteen and how it's ancient healing secrets and all these wonderful things it could do. So the mainstream is starting to really pick up on the secret that Zango found quite a while ago. Sports Illustrated, here you have Drew Brees coming along in January of '07 and talking about how part of his workout regimen is taking Zango every night at 9 p.m. as part of his workout and recovery and as a source of antioxidants, etc. So you also have a lot of media. If you go to Zango.com and look at Zango in the news in the bottom, you'll be there for a while reading all this stuff. But here was one that was really interesting. A little while back, the Salt Lake Tribune read an article, and the opening statement said, "Is Zango the next Google? Is it the iPod or the wellness revolution?" Well, what did Google and iPod do? They changed everything about the industries that they're involved in. And I think as we go through this tonight, and maybe combined with what you've already seen and the questions you'll ask in the future, you're going to see that Zango is fundamentally changing a whole lot of things about the space it plays in the business world. So as we mentioned, Zango is the first to ever create a mangosteen-based supplement. That's actually what the fruit looks like right there. And one of the things that I got hung up on in the beginning is I thought, well, if this is so great, why haven't I heard of it before? Or why isn't my doctor recommending it, or that kind of thing? And partly because it's been largely unknown to this half the world. It doesn't grow here. It doesn't travel that well. And they haven't been able to import it until recently. But look at what happened when they imported it. In August of this year, they're selling it for $45 a pound on the open market in New York. Pretty amazing stuff. So what's all the fanfare about with this fruit? Well, there's centuries of folk medicine where it grows, which is on that map you can kind of see Southeast Asia, that general region. It's the national fruit of Thailand. And I guess being an American, raised in the American system, I didn't really put the pieces of the puzzle together for a while about why the folk medicine mattered. But when you really step back and think about it, 75% of the world does not do health and sickness the way we do. We basically in America have a sickness industry. We have health insurance that it's only, you pray that you never have to use, because the only time you use it is when you're sick. So it doesn't do anything to actually keep you healthy, it just helps you once you're already sick. Well, most of the world does not operate like that because they don't have the luxury of it, or they don't think the same way. If you get dysentery and you're in the jungles of Burma, that's not just inconvenient, it's deadly, right? So if for the last 400 years you get dysentery and the local folk healers in your village grind up some of this mangosteen pulp, make probably a pretty nasty tasting tea out of it, and you choke it down, and it helps you with your dysentery. Well, that's a pretty good human trial study. You know, hundreds of years of usage of keeping people alive from otherwise deadly things is a pretty good indicator that it works. And that's where Joe Morton found this fruit is in Malaysia when he was working there, and he heard about this folklore and these stories. Well, the first thing that got his attention is the fruit, the white part, the pulp on the inside, tastes wonderful. Apparently it tastes wonderful. I've never tasted it yet. Someday Zango's sending us to Thailand, and we'll be able to taste it ourselves as we walk through the orchards and pick them and eat them. But what really got his attention was the stories of what it was doing for hundreds of years in these cultures, and that's when he started to look into it and found out, man, this is like a discovery of a botanical, of a fruit that's basically unknown to most of the world, and there's never been a product made from it, and that's how the Zango story started, back with Joe Morton and his partners. Well, what's in there that does all the good, and what the research has been done, is on a substance called xanthones. And not to scare you with images of high school chemistry class, but there's over 200 known xanthones in nature. Over 40 some are found in this fruit in high quantities and varieties. And the story of the xanthones is that it's kind of a whole new class of antioxidants in a way. It's not just antioxidants. They do very specific things that other things don't do. And this will give you an idea of, and there's polyphenols, polysaccharides, catechins. Dr. Templeman shares that in an ounce of Zango juice, there's the equivalent of catechins, which is the ingredient that's in green tea that everyone is raving about. Green tea has become very popular. It's equivalent to 2.5 cups of high-potency green tea, 1 ounce of Zango juice, okay, just on the catechins alone. So there's lots of other things that are in the mangosteen fruit that help produce the results and the health benefits that we're all seeing and hearing about. But just specific to xanthones, there's hundreds of things that are going on with those alone, and there's a lot of studies. I'm going to illustrate a few of those, but if you look at the components to the mangosteen fruit, these are the already published studies that are out there on the different types of components of the fruit. Pretty impressive list. You got cancer and heart disease and inflammation, which we're going to talk a lot about that, bacterial infections, etc. If you want to dig more into this subject, okay, and you're a research-minded kind of person, please do yourself a favor and go to mangosteenfruitinfo.com or mangosteenmd.com. Two great websites. You can look at the abstracts of the research and actually read more about the folklore and the whole mangosteen story is there in its full context. So the part of the Zango story that tends to get the attention because it's very motivating is if some people feel that they've had some relief from pain. And pain's a big motivator, right? And so the New York Times, if you put on your business hat for a minute, just think about this. The New York Times says the anti-inflammatory drug market is a $50 billion opportunity because that's the size of the market, and it's growing to over $100 billion in the next 10 years. Well, if you step back and think about that, anti-inflammatory drugs are probably wonderful blessings to a lot of people in that they allow them to get through their day. They allow them to at least function, temporarily, while they're taking them. But everyone that's taking them, they know that there's unacceptable side effects that come with them, and that's just common knowledge. We all know that. But you have 40 million Americans with arthritis and millions of people with fibromyalgia and joint pains and aches and pains and different things going on, and we're popping pills like crazy. So what if, right? What if there was a natural alternative to popping anti-inflammatory drugs? Now, I got to ask yourself this for a minute. Have you ever heard of a natural, powerful anti-inflammatory. Now, I'll step back from the whole thing for a minute. This isn't a presentation meant to give medical advice or make any claims of curing anything, because, if there's nothing that, we don't have a cure for cancer, we don't have a cure for arthritis, we don't have a cure for diabetes, otherwise this call wouldn't be necessary. However, what tends to happen apparently is if you give your body what it needs to do some rebuilding, it will do it. It's a built-in mechanism. God made our bodies want to survive and want to rebuild and want to repair. And if you put good things in, good things happen. If you put bad things in long enough, bad things happen. I don't think we have to have a big discussion on whether if you pounded down a cheeseburger for the next 30 days for lunch, bad things would happen. Well, the reverse is also true if you put enough of the good things in, right? That's just kind of common sense, and our grandmothers told us growing up, hey, an ounce of prevention, right, is worth a pound of cure. So that's kind of where we're coming from with this whole thing as a discussion. So mangosteen comes along, and there's one of the certain xanthones that's in the fruit called gamma mangosteen. Gamma mangosteen has been found in several studies to be a natural COX-2 cyclooxygenase 2, you can see it there in red, a COX-2 inhibitor in these rats. So obviously the proof you can draw from that is that if you're a rat and you have an inflammatory problem, gamma mangosteen will probably be good for you. Now we can maybe extrapolate that a little further to human usage. If you combine it with the stories we're hearing and the evidence scientifically, it all seems to kind of come together. It starts to make some sense. And oh, by the way, if you go on PubMed.com and put in mangosteen, there's a brand new study on inflammation that's just researched this month, February of 2008. So there's several of these going on. This inflammatory thing is a really big deal, and I'll show you why. Time magazine was one of the first major media outlets to kind of blow the whistle on this idea of silent. See, there's inflammation you feel in the form of pain. That's the obvious part. But there's inflammation you can't feel in the form of silent inflammation in your blood vessels and other areas of your body that is way more dangerous and way more harmful, but we don't know what's going on. See, most of what's going on that's good in your body you can't feel, and most of what's going on that's bad in your body you can't feel either until it's progressed quite a ways. Well, this article was in 2004, and they're talking those diseases on the right in the red are some of the things that they illustrated were linked to or caused by inflammation in the body on a chronic level. So why they were talking about this with such a strong word of the secret killers, they're saying if you could get rid of inflammation in the body, it would be like cutting off a tree at the trunk, and all the branches are different symptoms. So you have, diabetes as a symptom, and you have cancer as a symptom, and you have heart disease, and you have skin conditions, and chronic headaches, and on the list goes of all the symptoms that people suffer from. In essence, what they're saying here, and this was the start of it, was if you cut off the trunk of inflammation, you'd affect all kinds of diseases. And this was just the beginning of it. Newsweek had a special article in summer of 2005 on the future of medicine, and they talked about heart disease. Well, heart disease, statistically, is the number one medical killer of people in America. It's the number one killer of 50% of women over 50 die of heart disease, I believe the number is. It's just astronomical, and we all know that just from practical what we hear and know about people, around us. Well, what they're saying now, and you can go on American Heart Association website or any credible medical source, and it's pretty much a long-established fact now for a few years that inflammation drives heart disease. There's actually a video on PBS that they say at least 70% of all heart disease is directly caused by inflammation. So if the number one killer medically is heart disease, and it's being driven by inflammation, and half of everyone you know and care about is going to be killed from heart disease, you can infer that about half of everyone you know is going to be killed by inflammation. So if inflammation is driving the disease that's tearing apart the lives of people we care about the most, what you really have to step back and think about is if the slide 2 slides ago is true, and there's a natural, powerful anti-inflammatory that you could take on a daily basis to help ward off some of these disasters, wouldn't you want to know about it? And don't the people you care about deserve to know about it? And that's why the Zango story is spreading so fast, and people realize what we have our hands on. How can you not tell someone about it? Especially when it can do no harm and can possibly do so much good. So I'm going to give you some more recent headlines on some very specific areas that are in research as we speak, and it's happening all around us. And so I wanted you to look at it from two perspectives. One is how important is it that people you care about know about this, and you yourself pay close attention when you look at the level of which these diseases cover the board. And the other thing is, think about the timing. If location is everything in real estate, timing is a huge deal in business. And think about the timing at which the mangosteen is becoming popular in the medical context in which we're going to look at with these slides. So here's one from, and these are all from 2007, August 2007, inflammation causing preterm labor and fetal death. Here we have Journal of American Medical Association talking about miscarriage and inflammation, January of 07. Inflammation linked to male infertility, July of 07. We have inflammation linked to Alzheimer's disease, June 1st, 2007. Inflammation long linked to heart disease and other ills, right, is how they start the summary statement. John Hopkins actually found also that in June of 2006, they had the first ever study showing how brain inflammation is the root cause of autism. And now you have, I've heard it's even higher, but the last number I heard is one in every 150 children in America is being diagnosed with autism. And John Hopkins is coming out saying brain inflammation is part of the root driving cause of where that's coming from. Look at this for a headline. Can over-the-counter anti-inflammatories prevent Parkinson's disease? November 2007. Interesting questions being posed out there in the medical world. Cancer. Cancer still kills about 1 out of every 5 people in America. Apparently the game with cancer is played on the prevention side, because once you get it, we're not doing a whole lot better after 70 years of the war on cancer of doing much about it. Sporadically here and there we win a few, but we're still losing way more than we should be. Look at this one. Ladies on the phone, you may already know this, but 1 in every 9 women in America gets breast cancer at some point in their life. Here you're talking about breast cancer risk decreasing with increasing duration of NSAID use. So what are NSAIDs? Over-the-counter anti-inflammatories. That's October 1st, 2007. One problem they don't bother to say is, use them long enough and you'll need some other things replaced, like livers and kidneys, right, with over-the-counter anti-inflammatory usage. Memorial Sloan Kettering, one of the most respected cancer centers in the world, April 13th, talking about there's 4 genes driving the spread of breast cancer, and COX-2 being one of them. Well, refer back to the slide. Gamma-mangosteen, COX-2 inhibitor. Okay. Cutting inflammation could cut cancer risk. 2 new studies out of Mayo about 9-10 months ago. Here's one, cyclooxygenase 2 inhibitors in prostate cancer, October 07, talking about the important role in the prevention of cancer and the delay of progression in established cancer. 1 in 6 men diagnosed with prostate cancer. 1 in 6 men prostate, 1 in 9 women breast. Not good odds, right? And that's just those 2 alone. Here's another one on ovarian cancer in women. Diabetes, another big one. The most prevalent metabolic disease in the entire world. Look at this. American Diabetes Association in October. Risk of type 2 diabetes attributable to C-reactive protein and other risk factors. C-reactive protein is a blood measurement tool that you use to measure how much inflammation is in your bloodstream. It is now being, I just read an article today actually, that in some areas of the country it's actually being used more often than cholesterol screenings for risk of heart attack and other things. So it's quickly gaining in its popularity for doctors to be using this as a marker for future risk. So here they're talking about diabetes type 2, diabetes type 2 again. Inflammation, not obesity, is the cause of insulin resistance, November 7th. Pretty cutting-edge stuff. We're talking October, November of 07. January 29th, 2008, anti-inflammatory drug may prevent type 2 diabetes. In Wisconsin, 8% of our entire population is already diagnosed with diabetes. And Dr. Jason is my sponsor in Zango is a diabetic eye disease specialist, and his guess is that there's probably another 7 to 10% of people that aren't diagnosed yet that don't even know they have diabetes. So it's a rampant problem. It's epidemic proportions amongst young people because they have so much longer to live with it. But think of something like this where it's being driven by inflammation. Pretty big stuff, pretty big news. So John Hopkins is talking about this increasing awareness of what you put in matters, and putting the right foods in your body can create the right kind of results. Well, they talk about miracle foods, and there's some that we've been hearing about: pomegranate and blue-green algae and soy nuts and green tea. Think of the indicator of green tea as a glimpse into what is coming with the wellness revolution and the awareness of people that we ought to be doing something different. You know, green tea has been used for thousands of years. There's nothing new about green tea. But suddenly, the American public is finally starting to think about doing some little things a little different, and now green tea is everywhere. It's in chewing gum, it's in toothpaste, it's in malt beverages. I mean, that's all we need in Wisconsin is another excuse to have a malt beverage by the campfire for the few warm weekends we have during the summer. But, you know, suddenly it's everywhere, and it's kind of an indicator of the timing of the wellness movement in the industry, and it's being driven by the baby boomers, and like everything is in our economy. So the timing is just fantastic from almost every angle you see this at. They had a fifth one on the list. Generic Zango juice, mangosteen, known as Zango juice. I find that a very interesting way to talk about the mangosteen. By name, Zango juice, very much on purpose, right? Now, I can't speak for Johns Hopkins, but my guess is if you're smart enough to do research and write articles for Johns Hopkins, you're probably capable of doing a Google search on mangosteen. So we'll just leave it up to your imagination of why they would choose to write it that way. It may have something to do with the similar reason why this little organization you may have heard of chooses to write it this way. American Cancer Society, other common names, Zango. Now, I don't think they're claiming it cures cancer, but I also don't think they'd have to mention it at all unless they felt there was a reason to even mention mangosteen, much less Zango by name. Right? Very interesting times. So here we have some research that's recently completed at a little university people may have heard of before. The research was actually hosted at Harvard University. And now it would be one thing to have research done in Eric's garage last weekend. But when it's done at Harvard, that tells you that there's a whole lot of reason beforehand, before they even embark on the research, there's some pretty interesting things already happening right before you get to that point. And what they did is they took human cancer and put it in these live mice, let it grow, and then you can see the pictures. They would inject these xanthones right into there, and 1 week later the tumor is gone. Now, I'm going to leave that one alone, but I find it very interesting, and this can be published in a major medical journal fairly soon. Chad, are you on the line?
Yes, I am, Eric.
Those of you on the computer, I'll see a picture here of Chad Jubilee and his wife and his little boy there. And why don't you give us a little snapshot of how you got introduced to Zango and what happened with you, how you're feeling, and that kind of thing?
Well, we'll go back to May of '06 was my actual introduction to Zango. I had severe arthritis in my back. I had tried acupuncture. I was seeing a chiropractor 3 times a week, and it just got to the point where my back was so inflamed, he couldn't adjust me, and I said, we got to do something else. And he said, you could try pain management or you can try this fruit juice. So I looked at it over the weekend, and at that point I said, I don't see any red flags. I'm going to try it. I got nothing to lose. I'm literally looking at back surgery and drugs, and I don't really want to go there if I can help it. So I got a case on Monday and started drinking 2 ounces 3 times a day. And at that point, I was going to school for my master's degree, and I was sitting through class on Tuesday nights, and midway through Tuesday, I actually went up the stairs 2 at a time, and that was just unbelievable to me because I was in constant pain, 6s and 7s, and then I would spike to 10s when I'd misstep or do something, and it was just awful. I was having problems sleeping, standing, sitting for 10 minutes at a time. It took me 5 minutes to get in and out of the car. And within a day and a half, I had dropped my pain level in half, and now I'm basically pain-free now. It's just been a great thing for me, and I'll never be without Zango.
Well, I remember the first time you came to one of our meetings down in Milwaukee, and your mother actually had to tell your story for you, and she couldn't make it through it because she started crying because she was saying how this was like a week or 2 after you first started taking the mangosteen, and she was saying how you're at your sister's graduation, and you couldn't stand, you couldn't hardly sit, you couldn't do anything, and it was pretty neat. It was a neat story to hear how, because you don't expect someone your age to have those types of medical problems, and I think that's one of the things that's made me very conscious of being involved with Zango, is that we can't take our health for granted. It's people are having devastating problems younger and younger, and you certainly were on a bad track there for a while, but I'm glad you found out about this option.
Yeah, it's been a truly blessing in our lives. And by the way, Jana is also pregnant, so maybe this has got some kind of potency there too. So
yeah, I don't know. If you're don't worry if you're not trying to get pregnant. I don't think Zango's going to do it for you automatically, but apparently maybe there's a little fertility with it. Maybe we're just happier in the juice and things happen
maybe.
That way,
I don't know, maybe. So,
hey, Chad, thanks for sharing. Appreciate you guys, and thanks for giving me the cute picture. What's your little guy's name again?
Joshua.
Joshua, yeah. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
No problem. Thank you.
So it's kind of nice to see real life. I mean, I literally could and we've done it already. Some of you've heard it, but you could literally line up a couple hours worth of testimonials of life-changing results in this stuff. So it's out there. It's all over the place. I basically tell people, look, challenge the product, see what it can do. Go get me 10, 15 people that have health problems and have them drink it, and then watch what happens. I think they're going to like what they see. And the beauty of how we can get started is very simple. Everyone gets started the same. They get registered and open up an account with the company for $35, kind of like a Sam's Club membership. Very simple. And that allows you to participate as a distributor. And it doesn't assume you're going to do anything, but it allows you to participate and get paid for referrals and for building the business and marketing the product. It's convenient. We ship juice right to your houses. We don't have, I've got thousands of cases of juice sold on behalf of my business every month, and I don't touch but a few of them that come to my house for our personal consumption. And the beauty of it is, if someone's just trying to dip their toe in this from a product perspective, 90 days is actually a fairly legitimate trial. If you're trying to see, if you're not thinking prevention, if you're thinking what can it do with an existing problem, 90 days is a good approach. 30-day trial, at least you have a money-back guarantee. At least drink it for 30 days before you make any major decisions for health issues. That's the minimum, because there's no reason not to. Get a couple cases, drink it. People often ask, how much do you drink? It varies a lot by people's bodies. Things are natural. They affect people differently, and just even like drugs don't affect everyone the same. So something natural obviously isn't going to do that either. So the beauty of the Zango story is you can play with your own levels of consumption and see what works for you without any risk or danger. So transitioning a little bit into how did this story come about, and how does someone like me go from giving this juice to their kids to totally changing a whole financial picture in our life in a course of less than 3 years? Well, there's a business side to it, and the reason why the business side of this works so well is because of these gentlemen who put together something here, put the pieces of the puzzle in place in a way that's never been done before. And that's pretty easy to see. You don't build a billion-dollar company in 5 years learning on the job, right? That's with thoughtful, intelligent actions and some brilliant business minds. If you go on Zango.com, you can actually read the resumes these guys. I won't take the time to do it now, but everything they've ever touched is turned to gold, and they're just brilliant background of what they've done, and it's a very unique combination of skills and talents and experiences that allow them to come together and to create the Zango story. There's actually, in our industry, was a company that held the record for growth prior to this, and 5 of those 6 gentlemen right there in your picture were all in executive positions at that company. So there's a pattern here. You can see they know how to do it. They know how to do it right. And Gary Hollister is one of the gentlemen sitting down on the left. He's the gray hair of the group, and I actually had dinner with him and his wife Beverly last Wednesday night out in Utah, and just astounding the level of he's been running corporations and doing things. He ran Merle Norman for 18 years, and so he's been running corporations longer than I've been on the planet. And a very, very humbling and fascinating person to be with, and it gave me a little bit extra insight into the level of wisdom that's going on behind the scenes of Zango for all of us that are involved in the business. So corporate growth, they got over 700 employees. They built a global billion-dollar infrastructure. Here you can see a picture of a couple of their buildings out in the Lehi, Utah area where they're based. You can actually read that Zango parking ramp structure from the airplane when you fly in if you go over that area. And so they manage close to 300,000 square feet of office space. They're 5.5 years old, 700 employees. Right, something's going on here. One of the things that they were able to do in the very beginning, which was key to the Zango story unfolding as it has, is they were able to attract a partnership with a company called Wild Flavors. You probably never heard of Wild Flavors unless you're involved in the beverage industry, but they are a formulation company, and they actually create products for other companies like the Cokes and Pepsis of the world, Nestle, Kraft. So Capri Sun, Arizona Iced Tea, different things like that. They actually have created those projects, and they're the most sophisticated company in the world at what they do. Well, they created our product in the formulation behind Zango. And the reason that matters for a couple things is it gives us worldwide distribution. You'll see here in this picture that there's plants like this all over the world in 14 different countries. The bottom left is Cincinnati, Ohio, where our product is actually made. But the top middle is Heidelberg, Germany, where the company is actually based, in Beijing, China, and Portugal, and all over the place. And why does that matter to you as a distributor or just to you as a consumer? Well, it matters for a couple reasons. One is that you know what's going to be in the bottle. They are the standard by which their entire industry is measured. Okay, so they create the ISO ratings for their industry. There is no more sophisticated or respected company in the world. Wild Flavors is over 75 years old, multi-billion-dollar company, working with the Krafts and Pepsis of the world. One of the things that was very interesting, Doug Dodson said at one of the conventions for Zango, he's the representative that works directly with Zango, that they've created over 60,000 formulas in the history of their company. And in that period of time, Zango is one of the most complex ones they've ever had to create, because they had to take that fruit with a rind that's very bitter and terrible tasting and put it in the product. And if you've ever tasted the product, you know it tastes wonderful. My kids all love it. My little 1.5-year-old, she'll ask for it. She can't talk, so she doesn't ask for it by name. But she's very, very upset if she doesn't get her share. Well, that doesn't happen with too many healthy things, that kids are fighting for it. And so that taste factor was a big deal. And apparently it took some real sophistication in science to be able to figure out how to balance out keeping a product natural and not putting sugars and additives in it, but having a taste factor with keeping the potency of the whole fruit in there. So the entire rind, so the concept here is if you took an orange without peeling it, threw it in a blender on puree, and then drank it for your orange juice. Okay, that's kind of the idea of what they're able to put together, and it's been a key factor to the Zango story, and it will continue to be one in the future. Zango is very good at branding and making themselves elevated above other nutritional things in the market. Here you see that they were able to actually be the first company in United States sports history, professional sporting history, to actually get front jersey rights of a soccer team. Why did they choose soccer? Well, on a worldwide basis, we just had the Super Bowl here, right? On a worldwide basis, the World Cup is watched by multiple times more than the Super Bowl is. So on a worldwide basis, soccer is huge, and we're a worldwide company. And so here you have people running around on the field that's one of the most recognized sports figures in the world, standing right in front of the Zango logo next to like an Adidas, et cetera, on the side of a field, right? So it's a very interesting part of the puzzle, and the amazing thing is you have to step back and think, okay, I started a business here for $35 when I registered to open up an account with the company, and this is the type of thing that's going on in the background to create value for us as distributors, and it just comes with the package. It's just how Zango does things. If you want to look at something from the past as an indicator of where the Zango story is going, if it isn't already obvious, look at the story of aloe vera. Aloe vera was introduced to the market back in the late 70s by a company called Forever Living, and they went out and they told the story of aloe, and they said, hey, this is pretty good, and some people said, well, I don't know, and some people said, okay, I'll try it, and well, we all know the story now, right? It's a household word. We all got aloe products in our house. It's in toothpaste and hair products and skin products, and it's all over the place. Well, that little company grew because the story of aloe was worth telling, and they were the first to market to do it. And there's a marketing law that takes place that if you're the first to market to do it and you do it well, you stay first. Gatorade, Red Bull, right, et cetera, et cetera. There, Kleenex, Q-tip. There's examples like that out there. Well, the aloe market in the world is about a $5-point-something billion market, and here you have a company that controls about half of it, and the entire world is still sold through them because they were first, and there's a beautiful marketing law that's working in their favor. Well, there's another company that's first, right, called Zango, and they're the first and the clearly the market leader in the mangosteen category on a worldwide basis, and we're gaining on it. So here you have an idea of what's already happened in the Zango story in the short 5 years we've been in business. $1 billion was sold cumulative in that short space of time. The same time it takes most people to pay off a car, this company went from inception to $1 billion in cumulative sales. Now that's the kind of numbers that gets the attention of an organization like Ernst & Young, where they gave Aaron Garrity the Entrepreneur of the Year award in 2006. So amazing things happening. It's getting the attention of people. You know, you can't have this kind of growth and not grab some major attention. Well, how should I think about this? Think about like food or fruit, nutrition, groceries, right? So this Zango is $1 a serving. How many servings you take depends on what you're looking for it to do. Okay, and the person that invited you to it can explain more about that. But if you grab a good-sized apple, it's about $1. If you grab a grapefruit, it's at least $1. Right? Grab a handful of blueberries, it's about $1. So apparently putting good food and nutrition into our body, you know, $1 per serving is pretty much right on par. This just happens to come in a great tasting juice that's in a convenient bottle, and you don't have to peel it, you just drink it. And that bottom right-hand corner, that's also, I suppose, by some people considered to be a serving of apples, and it's also about $1 on the value menu, but I don't know that it necessarily can carry the same weight. And my guess is you could probably sit down and eat several watermelons and not get the type of results people are enjoying from the mangosteen. So there's something about this serving of fruit that is well worthy of replacing probably a few others along the way. Timing in America for health is, we've been talking about that, but look at the timing for business. Look at the foreclosures alone. I mean, foreclosure wave and records and millions losing homes. My guess is the average foreclosure in America, if they had an extra $400, $500, $600 a month coming in income, they'd avoid disaster, and they wouldn't have to explain to their kids why they no longer have a home, right? And there's a lot of reasons and a lot of theories behind the whole housing thing, but the point is it's a big problem, and it's, you know, money is tight, and otherwise it wouldn't be a problem. So we have a huge need for on top of the downsizing and the jobs overseas and all the instability that's going on in our economy, this is just adding fuel to the fire. So we can actually make money to do this, and I'll give you a little bit of a snapshot. If you've ever looked at things in network marketing before, I think you'll find something drastically different. So we've been at this now for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and this is the first slide. You're going to see this talking about the money. This is based on blessing people's lives and helping people and changing outcomes for people in many areas, and just so happens that making money is a really nice byproduct of it. That's my approach to it and the way our team kind of looks at it. But let's just say you went out and found someone in month one, and you shared this with them, and they liked what they saw, and then they joined you, and in the second month, you and them each shared it with one more. Okay, and you see the pattern, and then one more person. You could find 5 people tonight to call, probably with pain issues alone, that ought to deserve a chance to say yes or no to this on their own, right? And at least give it a shot for a month at a minimum if you're just looking at helping some people with the product. And then once you see what the product can actually do, the business becomes self-evident. It's just obvious. So let's say that pattern continued for 6 months. You had 32 people drinking the juice, and Zango comes in a case of 4 bottles, a 4-pack is $100. So $3,200 a month, we get paid approximately 5% of the volume of sales in our group, so that would be about $160 a month in that scenario. Okay. Well, now your product's free if you're ordering a case, or if you're ordering 2 cases, it's largely for free. But the interesting thing that happens, and what really is attracting these very sophisticated business people into Zango, is they're looking at the power of numbers with a product that's this hot and a company that's got it together like this. There's never been anything quite dialed in like this. And these other numbers on the second 6-month stretch here get far more interesting because the power of numbers is on your side. It's like compounding interest in your favor. So you look at month 7 and 8 and 9 and 10, and on it goes. And let's just round that to 2,000 at $100 a month. You're looking at about $10,000 a month income. Now that I've never even dreamt of that prior to this in my life, but I can tell you there's a whole lot of people that already surpassed that in Zango, based in maybe not in a mathematical model like that, but it certainly is happening. There's no doubt about it. So this is network marketing, referral marketing, relationship marketing. It goes by a lot of different terms, but the point of it is it's hot, and it's what works in business today, as been evidenced by some of the greatest business minds of our age, putting their stamp of approval on it in a big way. Like Warren Buffett, the number one investor in the history of the world, one of the richest men ever on the planet, he's going out and buying companies like Pampered Chef, which is, especially if you're a lady on the phone, you've probably been to a Pampered Chef party, got some great products, but I don't think he bought Pampered Chef for billions of dollars because they have some nice baking stones, right? I think he makes pretty sophisticated decisions, and he actually has ownership, full or partial ownership in several network marketing companies. So when you have the richest investor in the world buying on future trends and where he sees things going, and you have companies or organizations like Forbes and Fortune magazine talking about network marketing is the wave of the future for business models, and you got David Bach down here on the left, who's been on Oprah 8 times with his books. The first one is the big one is The Automatic Millionaire. In the Start Late, Finish Rich, in one of the chapters he actually goes into, and he says that the network marketing in today's world is probably one of the only real life scenarios for most people to change their financial position, because it allows you to take advantage of the tax advantages of the rich while you're doing something on the side and building yourself while you maintain your plan A. You're working on your plan B. And you also got Robert Kiyosaki and Donald Trump. Robert Kiyosaki is probably one of the most widely read business financial authors in the history of the world. Everyone kind of knows who Donald Trump is, and in chapter 27 of that book, they have a whole chapter on why they recommend network marketing as a real-life vehicle to get people into a different scenario in life. So this isn't 1980s Amway, 1980s Mary Kay from your aunt. It's a whole other world, and it's like everything else has changed and growing up with the internet, and home-based business is here to stay, and it's hot, and it's just getting hotter. One of the things that attracts those business people to look at this is this idea of taxes. Big business people know the major importance of tax advantages that business owners and rich people have that the middle class and below do not have. Well, this allows us to play on the same scale, because you could ask your accountant that a legitimate home-based business is probably one of the most attractive financially for your tax portfolio. And I'll let the rest of that discussion up between you and your CPA. I don't want to get in over my head there. Well, one of the things that's out there, if you look at what's going on in the landscape of network marketing, Nutrition Business Journal did a ranking of domestic sales, and this is what they came up with. Now, there's lots of great companies, dozens and hundreds of great products, dozens of years in business, and you have to sit back and look at this for a minute and just think, if they put Zango the fourth largest in domestic sales after only 4 years in business with one product. Now, if you're going to go to market and do these types of numbers with one product, it better be a heck of a product, right? But the other thing you have to look at is, look at the years in business. Look at the 3 or 4 companies below Zango and the 3 companies above. The average there is probably in the 40-some to 50-some year range, and we did it in 4 years. So the Zango story is truly unique. I mean, that's some pretty good evidence that this is a never before, never again business story that's unfolding before our eyes. And the beauty of it is they're just getting started. We're only 5 years old. This is really the point at which some people first start to take a company seriously once it becomes 5 years old. So the Zango story is a phenomenon that's happening before our eyes, and I guess one of the things I sometimes say when we start the calls is, one way or another, you'll never, if this is your first exposure to Zango, you'll never forget it. One way or another, because the Zango story is going to be a household word, and you'll remember the first time you heard about it long into the future. So when you look at comparables of what's been going on, these are some of the things that some of the companies you may have heard of: eBay, Microsoft, Starbucks, Dell, Nike, Walmart, Yahoo, Cisco. That's the type of growth curve that you need to chart in order for Zango to stay on the same map with them. Pretty impressive company to keep for a juice company out of Utah. Talking about how this quote here, how Zango has a chance to beat eBay as the fastest company in the history of the world to hit $1 billion in sales. We'll stay tuned. So we actually do make money in this. If you treat it like a hobby, it pays you hobby money. If you treat it like a business, it pays you business money. This is certainly no guarantee of anything, but these are actual real-life averages that were released at the end of 2007. And what those levels mean, you can, certainly ask someone. They can explain that. But on the right-hand side, if you look at, there's hundreds of thousands of people at the preferred rep status. There was 14,000 new 1Ks in 2007 alone. So you're looking at $200 a month for average there. Tens of thousands of people at 5K, thousands of 20Ks, and on it goes. So very interesting, considering you have to look at that in context of the maximum anyone could have been involved is 5 years. Okay, so in 5 years, that's what's already happening. I can't imagine what the next 5 to 10 years is going to do. And hopefully you're with us to find out for yourself. So the beauty of the story is we're just getting started. How'd you like to do business in over 90 countries? The timing of this is fantastic. Zango's on a major international growth curve, and guess about 2/3 or half or whatever it is of everyone living on the planet lives in a combination of China and India, and someday we'll do business there. And my guess is they probably have headaches in India, and have a desire for health in South Africa and all over the world. So being a global company with a seamless marketing plan is just fantastic, and the internet age we live in allows you literally, I haven't left my home here in Wisconsin to go out proactively looking for business partners or customers, but yet through what we've done here, our efforts have spread to, I think it's 32 states now in 5 countries. So very interesting to be able to do that in the global economy we live in. So this is what Zango did in the first 5 years with the one product they had. And we saw these numbers at the beginning. Kind of leaves you a little bit excited about what could happen with their second product. And they're coming out with Glimpse Intuitive Skincare later this year. I won't talk a whole lot about it other than to say that Zango knows how to do it right. And skincare is huge, and it's getting bigger. And I can't imagine, and I can't wait to see what the power of the mangosteen does when it's designed to be applied directly to the skin. It's just going to be fantastic. So exciting things on the horizon there, that's for sure. ZangoGoodness.org. You might want to go there to find out a little bit of a snapshot of the heart and the soul behind the company, what they're all about, the kind of people that run this and own the company. They give 7% of all corporate profits to charity. They're the single largest donor to Operation Kids. They actually give more than Coke does to Operation Kids. So they're big hearts as well as they're big business minds. And if you go watch the video that's a few minutes long on ZangoGoodness.org, you'll really get a good snapshot for what they're all about. One of the great things they introduced a few months back was this Zango Goodness Meal Pack. It actually is a powdered food substance that when you add water to it makes like a porridge, and it's designed to help starving children around the world actually be able to recover and get back on track nutritionally until they can eat solid food again. And Zango actually has these meal packs available. So as a part of the process of me building my business, these meal packs are 50 meals in them, and they're going out to places like the Sudan and around the world. And in my group within Zango alone, since they introduced it in November, it's coming up on 2,800 meals have been provided to these children around the world that for them it could be a matter of life or death. So it's a very fascinating part of the story. Zango is a very easy company to be proud of being represented or being represented with. And you can come to that conclusion on your own if you look a little bit. It's just fantastic. So what drives me in this thing is I think we live in a day and age when people are looking for real-life answers to real-life struggles and real-life problems. And if you gave me 10 people you know and they listed their top 10 issues and problems and struggles going on in their life, my guess is almost every one of them could be impacted significantly by finances or health. And so that's what we're out there doing. We're offering. We happen to It happens to be wrapped in a really cool package that's a lot of fun to be a part of and work as a team, and it's a team sport, and it's team success. And I guess I look at it from a perspective, I see how my life has changed in the last, not even 36 months. And, I'm a stay-at-home dad. My wife's a stay-at-home mom. I'm here full-time. Most days I eat 3 meals a day with my kids. My alarm clock in the morning is when my kids jump on me and crawl around in our bed. And I can't help but think there isn't a few parents out there that want to have that for themselves, and Zengo can provide it. And so that's my mission, is out there to spread the word and help encourage some people that it is possible and it's happening. And but it takes work, like anything, that's real. And as Joe Morton says, Zengo is a company where it's safe to dream again, because they have it in place to support us. It's going to be there for us long term, and it's just been a fantastic ride so far, and it's only getting better. So thanks for getting on the call. Get together with whoever invited you on it, and we'll be back here in 2 weeks doing something very similar, some of the same slides, and we'll have some fun again. So feel free to come on back. And thanks for joining us, and I appreciate you guys, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon.